What is going on, IVE Warriors? So today we're going to talk about the single best meal that you can eat. I'm literally going to show you a picture of the best possible meal that you can eat that will help you with your health, with your weight loss, etc. Now, please understand that this doesn't have anything to do with chastising your specific eating style. Like if you're keto and it works for you, that's the most important part. Actually, most studies show that the best diet is the one that you like, the one that you could adhere to, that has health benefits to them. So it doesn't have to necessarily be vegan or carnivore or whatever it is. It could be what you want to do. I'm going to show you what the best meal is in terms of weight loss when it comes to overall health and the ability to help you sustain weight loss based on the meta-analysis that we have, the data that we have. All right, without any further ado, let's go right into what that meal exactly looks like. Here it is. This is the meal. A lot of complex carbohydrates. Quinoa, basically a lot of fiber because that's good for your digestive system. That helps you push out the food. It helps with stomach issues that a lot of people get from overeating. Sometimes it can happen with intermittent fasting, since you're eating a lot of your foods in a small window, and good amount of protein. So basically there's more carbohydrates on this plate, but they're carbohydrates that are high in fiber. They're complex carbohydrates, so they're good for your body. They're definitely low in calories, but because of the mass that's on here, you'll end up losing more weight because you'll feel full. And it contains protein, which is good for the thermic effect of food and just for building or fueling your muscles with the amino acids, the building blocks for your muscle. And that all comes from the protein intake here, and just good overall gut health that's gonna make you feel good after your meal. You're not gonna feel you're not gonna feel sluggish or bad after your meal because you've eaten things that are actually good for your body, good for your system. So this is probably the most perfect plate when it comes to health, weight loss, etc. When we're looking at the data, this is the plate that you want your plate to look like. This is how you would want your plate to look like when looking at the data. And if we pull up a report here, a meta-analysis report, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me go ahead and pull up this meta-analysis that shows what I mean right here. If you look at this, you'll see that they have, let's see here, they have a low carbohydrate diet. Now, this is not 100% complete because, for example, they have intermittent energy restriction here, which is basically intermittent fasting. But these are from ad libitum studies because intermittent fasting, as you know, is not a diet specifically in terms of the food. It is just a form of meal timing. So this is not going to be accurate for intermittent fasting. So don't even think about this in respects to intermittent fasting because this is based off of the actual foods that you're eating. Low carbohydrates is in respect to not eating as much carbohydrates. So that is in respects to the food that you're eating. High protein, same thing, eating more protein than normal. Low fat, Paleolithic, it's a food composite. Same thing with Mediterranean, Nordic, vegetarian, dash, etc. Right? So intermittent fasting, we don't have to look at this for intermittent fasting specifically because, like I said, it's not, these ad libitum studies are not telling us what these people are eating. They're just telling us that they're doing intermittent fasting, and we're looking at what happens with eating specifically, or the food specifically. If you look at this chart, the only one that has all green with no red. So just so you understand how this chart is designed, green meaning it had healthy outcome, gray meaning it didn't have much of an outcome at all, and red meaning it had a negative outcome. If you look at this, low carbohydrate had a lot of good positive outcomes for everything across the board, but there were other studies that show negative outcomes on TC and LDL cholesterol, right? So there's little negative effects there in a meta-analysis, which means they're looking at multiple studies and putting them together to create this little chart here. High protein, you see a lot of positive effects, but HbA1c had a little bit of a negative effect, glucose a little bit of a negative effect, and LDL cholesterol a little bit of a negative effect. So that also depends on the things that you're eating when you're eating high protein. Like, is it healthy high protein foods, or is it protein foods that carry a lot of low density lipoprotein, cholesterol, you know what I mean, like, or too much glucose within the meals. So that's an important element. What exactly are they eating? But high protein has a lot of benefits, has a lot of positives, but some negatives as well. Low fat has some positives in terms of weight, BMI, TC, LDL, but then you'll see HDL-C negative benefits, TG negative benefits, and diastolic BP, blood pressure, negative negative results there, as well as weight. There's some negative results, but the smaller they are, the less of them there is, right? The only one of all of these that run the gamut of having positive results in every single one without having any negative results is the Mediterranean diet. And that is exactly what you were looking at. You were looking at a sample plate of a Mediterranean diet setup. And it is no secret why the Mediterranean diet is normally number one is because of meta-analysis like this. In terms of weight, there was nothing that showed in all of the meta-analysis, so all of the studies synthesized together, all of those multiple studies that they put together, there was nothing that showed that it did anything other than a positive effect on your weight loss. There wasn't anything that showed that it didn't do any effect, and there wasn't anything that showed that it had a negative effect. So in all of those studies put together, the weight was lost in a positive, it was a positive direction for weight loss. Same thing with BMI. TC, there were moments where you see it was positive, and some that it didn't do anything at all. It didn't affect it in any way, negative or positive. Same thing with LDL cholesterol. Positive or didn't affect it. Same thing with HDL. Positive or didn't affect it. Same thing with TG. Positive or didn't affect it. Glucose, only positive. Insulin, only positive. HbA1c, only positive or no effect from the studies that we see, but more positive than not having an effect. Systolic blood pressure, positive or no effect. Diastolic blood pressure, positive or no effect. So not only does it let you feel full because of the mass of food, not only is it properly dense in terms of the macronutrients, getting you a lot of fiber as well as protein, it is also healthy across the board when looking at the important elements of certain things that come with metabolic health. So the Mediterranean diet and this image right here is the single most perfect plate of food that you can eat. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. This is Fledge Fitness, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.